Hello guys, so I'm Daniel Bloom and I'm making a video because in a few days, on the 14th of June, the creators of Fly for Fun or the developers, they're going to be making a remake of the original, well they already did actually. They're going to be opening a server of the original version of Fly for Fun where there was Prison Island where you could go to basically it's popular, but it's popular for an older generation. But there's still new players that have never played it before, and so they end up coming here, and they don't know how to play the game, and they do things that are kind of their etiquette is very poor, and so when a new server opens, there's a few things I want to teach new players, including older players, so that way they understand how the flow of everything should go, because the economy is going to be very unstable, because there's not going to be anything for sale, and nobody's going to be buying anything. So I made this new account. It's a level 1 account, and it's fresh. So that way I can explain some of the features that this game offers, so that way you guys can go straight through the game without having any early issues, or else what's going to happen is there's a lot of monsters that are going to be taken up because of the high quantity of players that are going to be they're going to be here basically taking up all of the land, killing monsters, and you won't have anywhere to farm or train. So everybody has to kind of push through efficiently in order to get their first job. And there's a way to do that. Now, you could play the game to have fun, but there's things you don't have to do. All right? So, to begin with, um, learning how the interface works. You could take the time to do that. This penguin right here at the bottom, here's a tutorial. If you go through his tutorial, he'll teach you about the interface, how to move, how to look around, how to use things. By default, he actually will be doing the tutorial. I closed him, all right? You can right click him and just click hide if you don't want to deal with him. But I advise you kind of get a feel of the interface before you do that. So there's this guy here at the very beginning. This is where you start off. Or over here where that blue tornado looking thing is at. So this guy here, he's located on the map right where I am right here. My character Red Bamboo standing next to him. You want to talk to him because you want to get free money. All right. There's no money in the economy when the server opens. You don't have any money, so you have no way of buying anything. You have no way of getting anything to buy anything. There's no boss hunting, so that means that since nobody's hunting bosses, there's no money entering the economy. There's no items to sell entering the economy. All right. So we just leveled up just by talking to this guy. All right, and now he's sending us around. Um, when we get done talking to the shield guy here, you'll see this right here, this quest thingy where it says goals. Get a longsword. It tells you what to do if you click it. Please purchase longsword from Luda. Luda's the shield NPC. Shield NPCs are basically for novices or players that are just trying to buy shields, okay? So we buy the sword, but we're also going to go ahead and buy some of the earlier equipment that we need. What we're not going to do, we already bought all the equipment we're going to need to replace the equipment we have now. We actually, you know what? Pay attention to what I'm buying because this is actually what you should do. Okay, so we just literally bought all the equipment we'll need. All right, all the way up to like level 10. All right, or 9 or so. Yeah, level 10. So we're level 2 now. By the time we're level 15, we'll be getting our first job class. So we literally don't have to do anything. All right, and then you come over here. I didn't buy a shield from the shield NPC, and that's because we're still doing that one quest that I showed you guys. This quest line, that is. We talked to her, and boom. Now we stop talking to her. We don't need her anymore. We just got a free shield. We can't equip it until we're level 5. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead sort some of this stuff out here. Now we don't need her for anything anymore. Okay, now here's the deal. I'm not speed running this, alright, because I want you guys to actually see what you're supposed to do. Before you go out anywhere and do anything, there's this penguin. This penguin will give you free buffs. Buffs means it increases your stats. And you'll do this for free all the way up to level 30. At level 30, you'll be self-sufficient. So that's no problem. It used to be level 60, and it used to be bigger buffs, but they stopped doing that because that's actually extremely overkill. So um, here you have the skill menu. You don't need to buy a skill yet, but it's going to be important later on, okay? So here's the stats. Now, for your status, I'm going to go ahead and go through or run through how stats work. And when you level up, you gain points, stats points, and you can allot those stats points to whatever you feel like. All right, so stamina is your HP and defense. Dexterity is your accuracy, like where you're gonna hit them, are you gonna be able to block their attack, things like that. Intelligence is essentially how much magic points or MP you have, and how much magic power you have for certain skills that scale with it. So if you look at the skills here that you have as a Vagrant, you have this skill called Clean Hit. Its attack scaling is 1 strength. This next one's attack scaling is 0.4 strength, but it hits more often. So it does a flurry of attacks, and it has a base damage as well, meaning that it'll actually add your strength to it, and that's how it'll scale. So basically, that's the damage, and then this one here does a lot of damage. Does a nice big, just, you know, finisher. Um, the thing here, the problem with using these, is that it costs FP. The first one cost 5 FP. The second one costs 10 FP. This one costs 30 FP. Alright, so let's go ahead and do some math here. So that way you can understand one of the basic mechanics of pretty much every second class in the game except Build Poster. Or no, not Build Poster, the assistant class, which turns into Build Poster later, or Ringmaster. But if these skills here, they do the most damage. They do more damage than your auto attacks. They're supposed to. And that's why players depend on them. Because if you can kill a monster faster, you can level up faster. You can also not die, because you're probably going to die if you can't kill a monster fast enough, and you don't have any way of healing. In this game, you can heal with food, of course. Now, to explain strength, alright, because I'm sure you've noticed, this here it says the attack scaling is with strength. So that means the more strength I have, the more damage it does. All of the Vagrant's attacks scale with strength. So if I put in strength, strength also dictates your auto attacks damage. Dexterity dictates your auto attacks ability to hit, essentially, when it comes to auto attacking. Stamina is, you know, how long are you going to last in a fight. So I'm going to go ahead and explain why you would invest in anything and what you should invest in, right? So in this game, the way the stats scale, if you invest in stamina, you're going to basically always have a certain amount of health that you gain every level. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and put here in strength. Strength is essentially, let's say you want to level fast, but you don't want to have to worry about say using skills, because skills, if you depend on skills, you're going to spend a lot of money, because here you have FP and MP. All right, now FP and MP cost more money because you need to buy potions. HP only costs so much money because you need to buy lollipops. But you can get a healer to heal you while you're playing, unless you're not level 15 yet. You can still get a healer. It's just assists have no reason to help you. So because of that, most players who want to level quickly should not depend on skills. All right, now that I've established that, um, If you depend on your skills, I mean, yeah, you'll kill the enemy quick, but you won't necessarily progress quick because you're going to run out of FP, you're going to run out of MP, and you're not going to have the money to pay for any kind of way of recovering it. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and invest in strength because strength dictates the damage auto attacks do. Now, here's a golden rule, okay? You want your dexterity and strength to be the same um, when you're past level 15 if you're trying to continue to keep up with the monsters you're fighting. However, you don't need to put everything inside of strength and dexterity. It's just that the maximum damage you'll get on average is on monsters on average will be from having an equal amount of strength and dexterity. So if you have more strength than you have dexterity, you're not going to hit the monsters as often, and so you're not going to do as much damage. In-game monsters have that feature where they have different levels of dexterity, so you have different builds that work against them that are good and not. Some monsters are better for players who decided to um, not put anything in strength and dexterity and just want to be a tank. So that's another thing. Now here we have stamina. So stamina will always build your health as you level. I have 20 stamina here, but when my buff runs out, which I'll go ahead and show you. Whoops. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Wow, eventually, okay, apparently I can't cancel the buff that I get from... It's supposed to cancel the buff when you do that, when you click it twice, but... Anyway, I'm not going to be able to show you, but basically your health and your defense goes up continuously if you raise your stamina to a certain point. So as you level up, you'll get stats on top of your base stats. Your base stats basically dictate how your stats scale. So if you put in strength, your attack will go up when you level even though you haven't put another point in strength yet. Because your points you already put in, they gain more value as you level up more. So they don't really mean anything until you keep leveling up. Because of this, um, when you invest in stamina, you have boss enemies that can kill you in one hit unless you have 40 stamina. Now, that means that when your stamina is 40, most bosses can't kill you in one hit. Certain enemies can kill you in one hit still, like Clockworks. Clockworks can kill you in one hit. You have to be pretty much pure stamina. Well, you don't have to, but you have to make sure you don't die in one hit, and you have to have somebody to heal you the whole time, or some means of healing. And food is good, but it only takes you so far. So, lots of problems and catches with that. So stamina, you raise it to about 40, you'll never have to really raise it again. Once it's 40, the rest of the game, you're good to go. But if you raise it to 40 immediately, now you have a problem because raising it to 40 is good for bosses. Raising it to 40 is not good for killing enemies because it doesn't do damage. It just keeps you from getting damage. So that means that um, those are points you could have put in killing enemies faster. You're not going to have those points. That's a problem, okay? So, um, anyhow, that being said, dexterity, on the other hand, has similar properties to it. But as the golden rule, just keep strength and dexterity the same if you depend on auto attacks. If you plan on depending on auto attacks all the way to level 120, which is the current maximum level. If you decide you want to go the route of skills, then you have to be pure in your stat. Because you just want to do maximum damage. And that's if you're doing damage. You don't want to be pure. Oh, they're giving me a... They gave me a free weapon. That's nice of them. And a free shield. Okay. Alright, so they gave me an upgraded version of what I already have. That's nice of them. So anyway, back to what I was saying and doing. Stamina, since it'll raise your HP as you go and your defense as you go, and the value gets higher, you want stamina to be 40 if you're going to fight bosses. In Giant Hunt, this is like a golden rule for most classes. Not all classes' stats have the same value. Oh, this person's a freaking... Okay. Now anyhow, bossing means that you need to survive a hit, and you need to be able to heal from that hit while you kill the boss. The best time to boss with 0 economy is level 41. And that's because the first boss that drops good items that are worth something is the Dumble, or the Giant Dumble, which is located in St. Morning, right here in this little valley. Um, but most players don't boss early, so that's what they call that, bossing early. And that's why the economy doesn't start up either, and that you won't be able to upgrade your items. Everything will be random chance. You don't want to depend on that. So anyhow, if you want to boss early, as you're raising your stats, remember when you're done raising your stats as a vagrant class character, you're gonna actually have a reset when you're 15. You get no more resets, so you get to readjust your stats. So if you put anything in strength, and when you're level 15, you're gonna be able to put everything in intelligence if you want, if you go magician, and you'll do a lot of damage. Or everything in dexterity if you go acrobat, you'll do a lot of damage. Or if you go mercenary, you could put everything in strength and you'll do a lot of damage with certain attacks, skills specifically. But if you go bill poster and you want to do auto attacks and things like that, then you can do that, and it's actually pretty stable to go that route. Um, but you'll probably end up putting it half in strength, half in dexterity. A lot of players say don't do that, and those players haven't looked at the statistics on how scaling works for damage towards monsters and things like that. So yeah, just ignore that or ignore them. But ultimately, there is safety points in dexterity. Like there is a point where you'll do twice as much damage as you would have done if you invest your dexterity at up to 45. 45 is a decently large number, but that'll last for the whole game. But so if you put 45 points in dexterity, that's points in strength you didn't put. A lot of characters and players depend on their skills later in the game because they have more money. They're not going to have money when the economy resets. So the best character you can go with 0 economy is is the assistant, and you should go bill poster, but the players who normally reach level 121st are ringmasters, which still are the assistant path. So the ones who reach it last are normally acrobats, but you know, no, Momo. This is an event monster I'm killing. Oh, dang it! I used it. Okay, so anyway, let's go ahead and trash this. It's garbage. Now let's talk about motions. All right. So here's a hotkey bar, and this right here, pick up nearby items. If I place it here in the first slot, I'm gonna go ahead and kill this guy here. Wait till you're level 2 before you fight Captain Mushpangs. Captain Mushpangs are the best thing you could fight after AI bats. AI bats are the best thing. Well, Captain AI bats are the best thing you could fight level 1. All right, and put everything in strength until you're. So you need at least 14 points in Dex. Um, so get 14 points in strength, and then put 14 points in Dex near the end of this road of leveling your stats as a vagrant. This is for time efficiency. This isn't for maximum damage per hit. So you're gonna miss if you don't do this, by the way. And so you might be doing more damage, but you're actually doing less damage over time. This has had a lot of math to it. This game's existed long enough for people to know this. So if you take any damage and you don't have healing items, there's this one here called sit down. And if you sit down, you'll actually heal your stats twice as fast. It doesn't increase the rate of which each healing tick happens, but it increases how fast you'll heal. This one here lets you automatically attack a monster. So if you click a monster and then you click to do this, you'll automatically attack that monster. And so the reason I choose the Captain Mushpangs at level 2, so remember, all the players are going to be taking up all of the monsters in the map. Because it's going to be full, um, the AI bats are going to be mostly dead and everybody's going to be standing around looking for something to kill. Well, Captain Moshpangs have the highest amount of experience points per health at this level. That dictates what you should be fighting, because if they have a high amount of experience points per health, that means that you kill them faster from more experience points, so you level up faster killing them. That doesn't mean they won't kill you in one hit. So you have to be careful which monsters you pick and choose, based on what level you are. So, level 4, 5, 6. Okay, we're going to drop this because we don't actually need that axe. Um, but anyway, at level 1, the best monster is actually the small AI bat. Not the captain, but, um, I mean, if you go captain, you're probably getting, AI bats die pretty quick, so it probably doesn't matter. But here it does with when you're level 2. And if you did the quest and you have the sword and you bought the equipment you should buy, then you should be able to kill the Captain Moshpangs. And Captain Moshpangs are still good at level 3 too. They're the best one that you can fight. And so you keep putting your points in strength until you have 14 strength. When you have 14 strength, put all your points in dexterity. This is going to save you a lot of time. So we're level 4 now, and the best monster we could fight at level 4 is still the Captain Moshpangs. So Captain Moshpangs are optimal. They're optimal at level 4 um, between 2 and 4, pick up these items. You might need them depending on what class you're going. Right, always keep these quest items. And I might be throwing these little swords away, but you might want to keep them later to sell them to the NPCs. But don't get in the habit of quick selling unless you know what you want to keep, so that way you don't accidentally sell everything. That's an option in the game where you sell to NPCs. I'll go ahead and so after the Mosh Pangs, I'm going to show you what to kill next, and then I'm going to take you to the shop, so that way you can see what I'm talking about. This shouldn't take long because this is we're still early in the levels. I'm dropping lots of swords. We accidentally hit the wrong monster. This is an inefficient monster to kill at this level. Some players think it's not because it's a higher level, but it's not a higher reward for experience for the level it is. So it's actually not. Um, all right, so we put everything we don't want past. So remember this pike gauntlet. I want to keep everything here, the pike gauntlet, but I want to sell everything before it because I don't need it anymore. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and come to. Gonna raise our strength. Now remember, we don't have sets. We don't. We're pretending this is a new server that just opened, but we're not going to be moving around as fast as we should because in a new server that just opened, you should be moving around fast because there's no time to waste. Everybody's competing with each other. All right, so the shop's right over here. Well, there's one shop. You can sell items at any shop. Here's the magic one. We click quick sell. And the first thing that happens is all of our items, except the ones we can't sell. This one cannot be sold because we started with it. Items we start with, we can't sell. They all appear right here, all the ones we can sell. As long as we keep the items we don't want to sell, either at the bottom or top of the screen in our inventory, we just click them away, like that. And the items we want to sell stay here, and then we quick sell and it sells all those items. We don't click sell again because that will sell the items we don't want to sell to. For the item that we don't need anymore, we could just throw that on the ground or we can send it to the trash. Items you can't drop on the ground, you have to move to the trash to get rid of or else they'll stay in your inventory forever. So now to explain two more things before I end this video. This is the quest lady, and she's your only way of getting money in an economy that just started. Now, Captain Moshpangs are no longer the best experience to health ratio. And that's a bad thing because that means that you can't keep fighting them and get all the points you want anymore. Well, that's a bad thing for people who didn't put all their stats in strength and didn't go through the quests, etc. It's not really a bad thing. Anyway, now we have to move somewhere else. The best monster to kill at this level, if we had all the money that we need to go to the top level and finish everything, because keep in mind that person who was generous and gave us free stuff, we're not going to have that when the new server starts. But this right here, the Captain Burundinge, they're the best monster you can kill at this level to get the most experience points for the time you put into attacking it. Huh, a green shield, nice. So we'll keep the green shield so we could sell it, but we move our items and readjust everything so that way Keep in mind that the inventory is bigger than this. See, it's pretty big. We can open it somewhere else too and look at it. Oh man, didn't want to fight this guy. So to heal, you want to eat candy. And as I'm losing health, as you can see, you just keep eating these candies, and I'll get to that in a second. So the only reason I picked up skills is because since skills do more damage, if an emergency like that happens again, I can just quickly use my skills to do more damage, like a burst damage, so that way you don't really want to spam skills if you're depending on auto attacks, because if a monster just appears that can hurt you, you have to dispose of it pretty quick. So the reason I'm not going to kill those Captain Bertigans, or whatever they're called, is because there's a quest that the first quest you get requires you to get quest items from these monsters here called the Puke Pukes. So the Puke Pukes, not the small ones, but the ones that are just regular Puke Pukes, they have red hats. These are the ones you want to kill because they have the most experience points per level, but they also drop quest items that you need for that quest. You need 3 of them, and they're called like they're not called pumpkins, but they're called something similar to that. And here's one right here. Oh, Chupims. My bad. Completely off here. So we'll move our quest item down there. You need 3 of these to do that quest. So if you can get 3 of them from killing the Puke Pukes, the regular Puke Pukes, then you don't need to worry about killing Puke Pukes anymore. You can focus on killing monsters that give you experience. But now, after you get the 3 Chupims, you don't want to farm any more than 3. You might need to later, but you don't want to do that just yet. It depends on what job class you're going. You want to come over here, and there's this bridge. This bridge crosses you into a higher level area that level 15 players normally are at, but you can go there earlier if you didn't mess your stats up. And you can see where I'm at on the Flareese map here. You get here by clicking M, which if you did the tutorial with the penguin, you would know that. And you have these unknown letters. You could pick them up quickly with using the pick up nearby item, just by pressing 1. And you want to pick up 10 of them. You haven't received the quest yet, but you want to complete the quest now. So that way when it unlocks, you'll get the money you need, because that money is going to be used towards unlocking the items you need that you're not going to have access to unless you get the money. And there's no economy in the game, so you have to depend on early game quest. These go pretty quick. Well, guess what? There's going to be a ton of players here fighting over these. So before you even fight the first monsters, you're probably going to want to do this. You're probably literally going to want to come here because there's no economy, and you're going to want to pick these up. You need 10 of them. Forget everybody who's farming monsters. Forget that there's hardly any monsters to kill. You know, your time will shine or come. But they're going to reach a plateau where they can't go any further because they won't have money to buy items because there's no money in the economy. Certain players say this game's pay to win. There's this premium item shop here. You can buy stuff to make it easier for you to level up. All of that stuff doesn't mean anything if there's no monsters to kill. So you can't do anything with it, and you're stuck in the back. Everyone else is leveling up in front of you. So anyhow, we got 10 of those. Now we're going to cross the bridge because we're not done doing quests that we have to do to get the money we need. To buy items. And you want to do it this way because this way is actually the cheapest route. you can go to get the items that you need early on. After you reach level 15, things change, but they don't get bad. Um, there's this item over here, the unknown certificate. You need 10 of these as well. You'll probably recognize them from the fact that nobody's killing the monsters next to them, and they're on the floor still. Some of these items over here, you can tell they're not certificates, so you can just ignore those. But when the certificates are gone, they'll respawn. But normally there's enough of these ones just lying around. As for the unknown letters, there's normally not enough of the unknown letters. Everybody's very competitive over those. I go to the ones that are further than the other players because the other players will deny me those. And so now that I'm far away from the city, normally what I would do is there's this item here called the nearest town Blinkwing. I would use one of these. Well, I'm not going to do that because we need to go back to the Puke Pukes and we need to get to level 7 before we can do that. So I still haven't gotten all 3 of the... Avoid the monsters that have red names, by the way. They'll attack you if you get close. But anyway, so let me go ahead and say one of the reasons why it's good to focus on auto attacks while I'm doing this. So there's this thing here called MS, and it's right next to FPS. I have 102 FPS right now, but my MS is 121. That means I'm lagging a bit, and that's because I live in the United States and this is not a United States server. When the new server comes out, I'll likely not be lagging at all, but if you aren't from the United States and you go to the server and you don't focus on auto attacks, then what's going to happen is you're going to lag and your skills don't process unless they're in the action slot bar, like I put these here. And I should go ahead and explain the action slot bar real quick. You double click a skill to put in the action slot bar, and then you double click the skill to put in the rest. But you have to put them in certain orders if they have these little puzzle looking little, you can't really see it that well on here, but it's little empty slots, so that way it fits in, so you can use it as a combo. The ones that have the puzzle piece on both sides, they could be used to extend upon it, the attack like a combo, and then the one that doesn't, it only has one at the beginning, that's one that you can use for ending the combo. And so let's go ahead and kill a Puke Puke. So the way I did that to use the action slot bar, and I ran out of FP as you can see, we don't have enough FP to run through the action bar fully, is I pressed on the monster, and then I didn't click 3, that's to auto attack. I clicked C on the key. You see, it makes this light up. That's how you do that. But we don't have the FP to keep doing that, so we're not going to. Instead, we're going to go ahead and farm the Puke Puke so we could get three of these Shuppums. So anyway, now that we're in a bit of an interlude here, I'm going to go ahead and explain how to level up more quickly. There's a system that lets you leech off of players that are weaker than you. So a lot of players that are weaker, this game, how do I put, you would think intuitively that they're leeches. They're sucking you dry. You're not able to do anything because they're letting you do all the work. But in reality, so this game has a party system here, and I can find a party right now and join it on this list, but you can also make a party yourself. You'll probably end up having to depend on searching for a party yourself when the game, oh man, oh, I'm dead. maybe I'm not dead. We'll see. Now, this is what you want to save the action bar for. Like little surprise monsters like this that come out and attack you all of a sudden. But whenever the new server starts, this is probably the most important thing because this will dictate your experience. You'll want to come here and search, and you'll want to join a party, or you'll want to start a party with somebody if they're not in a party already. You want to prioritize, however, players that are lower level than you. If you don't, you won't be able to leech off of them. So this party system has two types of experience distribution methods. The first one is level, and the second one is contribution. Level distribution means that the player with the highest level gets the highest amount of experience points. Um, Contribution means the player that does the most damage gets the most, or the player that heals the most, that contributes overall the most, they get the most experience points. So that means that essentially the player that has it better off is always going to be um, better off as long as they keep playing with players that are weaker than them. And that's one of the methods you can step on other people with. If you have more people in the same area farming monsters the same, you'll gain a lot faster. You won't necessarily get all the experience if you're the weakest, but if you're the strongest, you'll gain extremely fast. See, pretty critical. To know that thing about parties. If you end up doing the tutorial with the penguin, you'll end up coming across that. And because in the penguin's tutorial, it actually tells you about that. So another thing um, I was talking about earlier, which I'm not going to show you just yet. I still have to finish killing these puke pukes. So you see, I missed like 3 attacks at the end there. And dexterity really, though, it doesn't start applying until about 14 points in to leveling early. So I'm leveling slowly right now because I did those quests, and I also don't have the food to heal my character. So and when you level up, you get all your health back. So that's a good thing. So we're level 6. What the best monster is for level 6 is the Captain Berdugin, or Berdugin, Berdudin, or something like that. The one that we were fighting earlier that I told y'all about, but we only have 2 Chuppins. So we have to still farm the Puke Pukes, which are the best for experience uh, out of the Puke Pukes that give us the item we want. Oh, he wants to steal that sword off the ground. So here's something too. You can put your skills like this here, and you can use them like this as a hotkey. Another thing you can do is you could put food here. You could pretty much put anything here, even equipment. And when it comes time to equip equipment, um, like this new sword I just got, well, I clicked it and it equipped it. And that might be useful for certain characters of certain classes, because some of them use more than one type of equipment. But anyhow, this sword here, and you want to always keep up to date with the level of your equipment, because remember how I was doing some damage to the Puke-Pukes earlier? Well, now look, I'm doing 100 damage, 108 damage when I hit them. And I'm hitting them fast and hard enough that I took almost no damage. I don't have to really worry about healing much. These lollipops only heal for 70, so more than 2 hits I can't really use a lollipop. So no matter how long it takes, you're gonna want to keep farming. You're gonna want to keep farming these Puke-Pukes, like literally, no matter how long it takes at all. Just keep farming them until you get 3 Chupims. If you have any less than 3 Chupims, you have no choice but to do this, by the way. This is the fastest way you can get money early. And I'm still not level 7. And we're not really breezing through everything because I'm explaining things while I'm playing. But the ideal way of doing this is to continuously keep fighting monster after monster without any breaks. And if you did that, it would be much faster than what I'm showing you here. So we ran out of lollipops and they disappear out the hotkey bar when you do that. So when we get another lollipop, we'll have to re-put it in the hotkey bar. So there we are. We got 3 Chupims or whatever. We now, we realistically, we probably would keep fighting the Puke-Pukes because it might take more time to go all the way to the Captain Birdigens, but the Captain Birdigens are right here, so we're just going to go ahead and go to them. And there's one more thing I have to explain, which I'm going to explain at level 7. Um, and then they'll end this tutorial. See, this is the natural flow. You just keep fighting monster after monster after monster until you level up. Now we're actually just grinding. And if you find any quest items, just go ahead and store them away. You got a pretty big inventory when you start the game. Here we got a green item. So green items are rare. You don't want to sell these and the shop won't automatically sell them. So you just keep these. We actually will be using this pretty much all the way up until we're level 15. That's how good this shield is here. This one is the light shield. The other one that's really good is called the battle shield. Um, it's better than this one, but we're probably not going to find that. And you keep it and you could sell it later for a lot, but I'll just go ahead and give you this piece of advice. On a new server, you're probably not going to have time to sell to other players because they're probably not going to have the money to buy it. So, unless they somehow bought Real Pina, which the game doesn't sell that in the shop. Alright, here we go. We're level 7. One more level and we'll be able to start investing in dexterity. If you do not invest in dexterity, what will happen is when you fight the best monster you can fight your level, okay, so now the best monsters we can fight that have the best experience per health is the Puke-Pukes. But the thing is, um, the quest that we need money to get the good equipment that we have good equipment right now, but for later on, if you haven't done it already, you're probably not going to be able to do it because there's going to be so many players that are going to be hoarding up that spot. So it's not as fast. So we just turn in all our quests. Do not accept her Peaky Rin quest. That one will set you back big time. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and sell our extras. And as you can see, we have 12,500 pinya. We couldn't sell that shirt, so we just drop it. We leveled up again. We're level 8 from turning those quests in, all 3 at once. And now we max that out, so if an emergency happens, so we come here to Shield, because Shield has the novice equipment, and we already have this inner helmet with the strength and dexterity buff, which is really good, by the way. But we still don't have the suit, the gauntlets, and the boots. Now, if you can see, this one here is for sex female. We can't buy female clothing in this game. It's actually separated. And so, yeah, there's that. This is the sword you want, the Crimson Sword, for later on. Okay. And now we're at 6,000. So let's talk about buying food. One of the things is, for your extra money, because now we have enough items that we basically literally don't need any more. Well, actually, before I even talk about that, because we don't need any more money for now. We'll get more resources when we finish our upgrade quest. We're gonna go assistant. But before we do any of that, I want to show you this. So you click the R button, and there's this here. It's like an achievement system. The more monsters you kill of a certain type, the more damage bonus you get, up to 15%. This is good for when you're farming later in the game, but it's not really the best early game. Um, I started a completely new character and tried completely new things on this account. So the damage you saw me doing, that was the damage you'll actually be doing, as long as you have the same equipment. You don't need the same equipment, because my equipment's actually more upgraded than you'll probably have. This is RNG. But here is playtime. So in events, there's these different levels. All the ones for people reaching level 80 have been sold out. 100 almost sold out. But 120, there's over 100 remaining. Nobody's claimed them yet. So nobody's really 120 is what that's saying. But a lot of people are level 80, 60, 40, 20. Well, on the new server, there won't be anybody who's level 20. So you'll be able to have a chance to get this fire effect, which will last 7 days. Increase your running speed, but it only lasts 3 minutes. So it's not really something you would use continuously. And then this one gives you either 50 mana potions or 50 FP potions. So, and then you can read what all these do yourself, but basically these are extra rewards you can get for leveling up under events. These might not always be available, by the way. Eventually, this event will end. And then here, we just have titles, but we don't need that. Here's playtime. This is where we actually need stuff. So in playtime, after you finished a certain number of minutes, you click claim. And it gives you a random reward. 4 of them if you did play the game for 40 minutes. You can claim this every single day after 24 hours if you play for this amount of time. So here we have an FP potion. We don't need that. This yellow pill, we don't need it, but we'll use it right now because there's an achievement for using a bunch of yellow pills. We'll have to eat 30,000 more of those. We don't really need it, but whatever. Then you stay in playtime, you go to connection series. How many days in a row have you connected? And then you get a daily version of that reward. And then total connections. Um, Log in a certain number of times, and you claim that reward. And they give you a good stat bonus, but they're not really much in the grand scheme of things. They might be to some players. So that's something I wanted to show y'all. But now let's talk about food. Okay, so food costs a certain amount of money. You're probably going to want 100 of whatever kind you're going to buy for your level because you're probably going to kill 100 enemies. But that's later on. Earlier in like level 20, you'll probably use less unless you built your character poorly or use certain classes. So 100 would mean that this right here would cost this chocolate bar 10,000. Okay, this biscuit 7,000. Well, we have 6,000, and money isn't cheap in this game. So when there's no economy, it is later, but not, right now it's not. So what we're gonna want is we're gonna want to buy milks. 50 milks would be 7,000. We have 6,000. We're just gonna get 25. And this is just to get us all the way to the level we want. And so now I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. You're not going to see it paused on your end. And I'm going to go ahead and get to the level I desire before I continue. Okay, so I've actually just decided to unpause the video real quick so I can mention something else. And that is when you do start on a new server, your first character is going to get something called a power scroll. I should actually talk about that really quick because that's really important. So the power scroll comes in 3 tiers. The first tier, it does 100 damage. It gives you 100 extra points of damage, and that point of damage lasts the whole hour, and then it increases to 200 damage, but you have to use the second scroll to increase your damage to 200 for another hour. Finally, it turns into a supercharged scroll, which gives you 300 extra damage for another hour. This is great if you literally just started the game, but it's not great if you just started the game and you're not your first job class yet. So even though it's going to be very tempting to use those scrolls early, because you think you're going to get ahead, you're not going to get ahead um, because you're going to fall off. Your stats are going to fall off, and you're going to get held back. As long as you're in a party, like I mentioned earlier, you should be fine, okay? So remember that, be in a party, and yeah, so that power scroll, you should save it until you're level 15. Do not use it before you're level 15. Don't use most of your special items that you start with until you're level 15 at least, because if you do, you're not going to get ahead enough when you're actually your job class to level. You have to level fast enough so your stats can scale. Remember the thing I said earlier about stamina. You have to have a minimum stamina of 40 to hunt giants. If I fight this giant right now, it'll kill me in one hit when it does its super attack. It's a giant puke puke. The puke puke's level 80, or 11, my bad. Well, I can't get 40 stamina before I have the points to put in for stamina. You start off with a default amount of stats, 15 per stat. Those are your base. So that means that I want to put, if I was to fight that giant now, I'd only be able to survive, and it would cost me a lot because I'd have to buy a lot of food. I'm going to end up having to spend most of my money on food. It probably wouldn't be enough because my damage would be so low. I wouldn't be able to actually kill it fast enough to um, make sure that I don't die later on uh, to its later attacks when I run out of food. So remember that. Um, that means that I'd have a minimum level of 13 with all of my points in stamina, nothing in dexterity or strength. Well, this monster is 11, so I'd be above its level and it'd still kill me. And that's the only way I could do it without assistance. If I have assistance, it might work. But then, how are the items distributed in the party? So it's probably not going to be worth it. If you find greens, because that's why people kill giants, to get greens and a lot of items, so that way they can get um, that way they can get pena from pena being the currency in the game, selling those items. Then that's what they're going to want to do early. You don't want to do that until you're level 41 because it's not worth it. You can still do quests to get the items you need for the money you need, etc. So yeah. Anyhow, um, that's all I'll say for now, and now I'll go back to pausing the video so we can skip ahead. Alright, we're back, and so I'm level 9 now, and the next enemy after the Captain Puke Pukes for level 8, and the normal Puke Pukes for level 7, the the next enemy you want is the regular Demians. You don't want the Urchin Demians. These are found on the map right here in Madrin Town. Um, and there's a lot of players that won't come around here because of certain quests. They could be a real pain. Whenever the new server starts, there's a level 15 monster that's for the quest to change your job, located right here called Chainer. People are going to very competitively fight over killing Chainer, and so this is one of the reasons you want to level very quickly. Whoops, accidentally healed. But yep, this is the next one. And I'm going to go ahead and go through all the ones that I'm going to go through for each level. Alright, so level 9 is the Demian. It has the best health to experience ratio. Level 10 is the Bad Demian, which is the bigger version of the Demian. It's located further in the back of the town. And then level 11 is the Captain Doridama. But the Captain might do a decent amount of damage to us. So if it does, the small Doridama is not too bad. Except you'll probably have to kill. So you'll have to kill about 55 small Doridamas, but you'll have to kill 48 Captain Doridamas. So you probably want to just mix and match them up. Uh, Between all the Doridamas, they're pretty good. That's for, of course, 11. For level 12, it's the Captain Doridama. You basically are either going to have to kill 100 Doridamas, or you're going to have to kill 68 or 50, 65 Captain Doridamas. That's a big difference in the number of kills you'll have to do. Right, so 65. All right, so we have 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Yeah, basically 43 more kills. There's a 43 kill difference in how many monsters you have to kill between the Doridama and the Captain Doridama at level 12. At level 13, so Doridamas are located right here. They're across the ocean, or not the ocean, the little lake from the Captain. They're the Puke Pukes, basically. They're just west of Puke Pukes. You got a map here. You can see they'd be that direction from here. So now that we talked about level 12, 13 is where things get a little interesting. And all the way up to 15, basically. So level 13 and 14, you want to fight the Pfefferns. You don't want to fight first or second class ones. You want specifically Pfefferns because they're the ones that give you the most experience for their life at that level, 13 and 14. They're located right across that bridge I showed you guys earlier. Um, there's a thing about the bridge. I'm gonna go ahead and run to it so I can mention something to it. 1 second. Okay, so here we are at the bridge. There's a buff ping here, but over here there's another ping. It's called the Flyff ping. It's a load light, and most players who are going to be being competitive are probably going to play on the player versus player server because you could just kill other players at level 15 that become level 15 if they get in your way. Well, this is a safety area for those people, and you can't kill other players here. It's right next to where we did the quest earlier. And you see this ping here, you place resurrection. When you die, you could choose now between spawning here, which is located right here in the middle of the map, or you could spawn back at the North Flarine area. And that's basically what I wanted to show y'all. So now I'm gonna go ahead and level up, and you could tell I started putting points in dexterity. And I've got all the equipment I need. I'm just gonna go ahead and level up. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do the quest to become a build poster, or not a build poster, an assistant. And then from there we'll continue the video. Actually, no, we're gonna continue the video here for a second. I'm going back to the town because I forgot to show you guys something important. This is gonna help you a lot. So I just used up one of my blinks. Don't do this during this time. I hope you're listening to what I'm saying and not doing what I'm doing verbatim. But right here in Central Flaring, located on the southwest side of this town, there's this hole in the ground, but it's not really a hole. There's an actual elevator here. We're going to go ahead and wait for the elevator, and I'm going to show you all how the system works. This game has a system where you could buy brooms to fly around. This is like a big feature that a lot of players really enjoy the game about. It's called Fly for Fun. So it's about flying, well, for fun. But you can't really do that if you just start the game because, well, you need to be level 20 and you need to have 50,000 to 3 million. Alright, now we come over here. If I get on here, it's going to take me to Darken. Alright, Darken is the continent. Actually, let's go to the world. Darken's here. Alright, so this one's on the west side. If we go to the one that's on the east side, this one's actually, it takes a longer time to get here and go to where it's going, but it takes us to Saint City. And then if we go to the one here in the back, this one's the one we want to get on. This is the one you'll be using when you use your blink wings, but so the one that goes to Saint City, it takes us to Saint Morning, Saint City. The one that goes to Darkon takes us to Darkon 1, to a little base that's a safe place right in the middle. But this one here we got on takes us to what's called the Mars Mine. And the Mars Mine is located in the back here, across the bridge. And it's a very good place to level up. Most players don't even know about it because they're so desperate to get to Saint Morning that they jump the gun and leave Saint Morning. You're not going to want to do this unless you just had bad luck and don't know how to build, or you don't have the food to handle what's going to come or whatever. And if you go acrobat, you're probably not going to be able to do this. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. Sorry, acrobats. But we could jump off at any point, and it would have taken us all the way to this mine right here at the entrance. I really had to show you guys that, all right, because that was pretty important. All right, now back to what I was going to do. I was going to pause the video. See you on a bit. All right, guys, so I'm back. This video has been over an hour and 10 minutes almost. I've got a lot of topics I actually apparently do have to cover if I want to continue making this video about things for new players that want to play on the new server when it opens up. So I did want to mention a couple of features that some new players that are really actually legitimately new don't know about. And that's this bank here. So if you come to this public office, it's in every city in the game, and you click bank, it'll ask you to make a new PIN. Your old PIN is 0000. It doesn't let you access your bank with that. You have to actually make a new PIN. And then you can place items inside of here. You've seen as you can see, I already used it for 2 other items. This item right here is called a set piece. If you get all 4 set pieces for that level, you'll basically get all the boosts from the stats that it says below, but not all set pieces are actually good. So you have to pick and choose when you want to use a set piece. The thing is, you're not going to be able to do that when the new server opens up because there's no economy, and a single player can't get all the set pieces unless they can farm giants continuously. So it's just not going to happen. Continuously, as in because it's the new server. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and explain one more thing before I start. Um, where the cities are located, or that you need to know about. Um, so we're going to go to the map, we're going to go to the regions, and we're going to go to Flaris. Okay, so in Flaris, you know about the aircraft that takes you to St. Morning and back. And then there's one that takes you to Darken, and then it takes you right in the center, and then it takes you back to Flaris. But in Darken, if you go here, it's a long trip. I don't actually think or know that of a. I think there is an aircraft that takes you from Darken 1 to Darken 2, where the city's at. But essentially, there's 4 classes you can switch to. The first class to mention is the Acrobat that I want to mention first for a particular reason. So here is the city of Darken. It's located in Darken 2. Um, so the area around Darken is actually Darken 1 and 2. It's not actually labeled anything specific or special. Um, here in Darken, there's this little exclamation mark that's red. This is where you go to become an acrobat. It's right next to the magician. Over somewhere near the public office, there's an elevator, and it takes you up to the aircrafts, but you won't be able to access that through there. Um, you'll have to go from Flarine, and I'll actually try to, I'll try to do it. No, I won't. Anyway, you can access it via aircraft without having to do what I'm about to show you. You go to the magic shop, however, and here in the magic section, there's these blink wings. This one lets you teleport to any town of your choice, but it's 5,000 each. It's actually very dumb to use. Just be patient. There's no reason to use this. You don't have a reason to go anywhere special at any time unless there's an event that happens. Like if you do get one of these, like just get one and do it at a high level. Don't do it at just whenever. Don't do this. Don't use this one. All right. Use this one. Teleport you to the nearest town. Only 200. You could buy 25 of those for the cost of one of these. There's no reason to get one of these. There's aircraft that go between the cities. There's no reason to get the broom that flies around either because you can get around everywhere without the broom. It just takes time, and in fact, the broom might not be that much faster than you walking. But if you're going to become an acrobat, you're going to actually have to buy, and I believe it's 3 of these blink wings of Darken. Then there's the Saint Morning blink wings, which will let you go to Saint Morning. So an acrobat is a player whose all the acrobat skills are basically based off of one of 2 things: strength and dexterity. If you go the route of the yo-yo acrobat, because acrobats get 2 weapons, battle yo-yos, which are basically dual wielding. You have to use 2 hands to wield it, yo-yos, and they fight with it. If you go this route, it takes a while to get the skills and everything you need to actually farm as a yo-yo acrobat, but essentially you go the route of strength. So you'll probably want to go strength and dexterity. That's the basic build for acrobat that's comparable to the build or the assist. Um, the assist one-on-one build, but the issue with it is, of course, um, it's very weak. You can die very easily as an acrobat. The second route is the bow, um, ranger. Yeah, it's the route of the ranger. The yo-yo route's the jester route. It's very dumb to use a bow as a jester, but it's better than the yo-yos. But some of the higher ranked yo-yos and bows are exclusive to their class. Like you can only use a jester for very high level yo-yos, while you can only use a bow for very high level rangers. So players like to upgrade the bow extremely high at level 60 so they can keep their bow while they're a jester. And it's actually very underpowered to go jester. Ranger is considered the best player versus player character at this time. So the next one is magician, and I mention it next because it's to become a magician you have to go to Saint City, and to go to Saint City you have to go to Saint Morning, and I've shown you it's on the east side of the air dock air station to get here, and then Saint Hall is right here. This is where Saint City is, where all these little bridges meet this river. So if you go back to towns and go to Saint City, there's a red exclamation point here. This is where the um, magician thing starts. It's actually easier to get to Saint City than it is to Darken 2, so you won't have to buy Blink Wings, but you're going to want to anyway. You're going to want to buy at least one, because the very first mission for every single job change requires you to kill a certain number of enemies at a certain time. And so this is where I bring up the AI bats and why you shouldn't kill um, you shouldn't kill normal AI bats. You should kill either small or captain ones. Um, Small ones are okay, captain ones are. But the normal AI bats don't really have the same amount of EXP per health anyway. And it's more of a courtesy not to kill them, because the players who have to do a job change really probably need to kill them, or the small ones. The small ones, so you should probably start with the captain AI bat. But sometimes certain jobs require the captain AI bat or the mush pangs. You have to kill a certain number of these small enemies within a certain time. Even the Birdugen, or whatever they're called, the weird looking things with the ant pinchers in the front. And so the last two, but actually magician. So magician's skills, they all kind of scale up with intelligence. So of course, intelligence, the more intelligence you have, the more damage you do. And because you're not going to die in one hit to regular enemies, and you're probably not going to be farming giants with this thing unless you have 40 stamina, you're going to want to go full intelligence, or you're going to want to go full intelligence up to levels before you reach 41. You're going to want to start putting in the stamina until you get 40 stamina. If you don't do that, you're not going to be able to kill giants early on. So as an acrobat, sadly this is still the case, you're going to have to literally, you're going to have to depend on doing just that as an acrobat. And acrobats do less damage than magicians. So if you're using your power scroll, then um, when you start, it's going to be a breeze to kill certain monsters early on. When your power scroll runs out, if you used your power scroll to its maximum efficiency, you should be almost level 22 or at level 22. Alright, so there's this one guy right here, too, I should mention, Rionan. And if you want an early level 15 set and you have somebody to heal you that's went assist, then you should do Rionan's quest with that assist. Because that will literally give you all his quest. If you do his quest line, he'll give you basically a free 15, level 15 set of +3 for every piece, and it's a full set. So I don't know if it's tradable. I don't think it is. I never did his quest, but I just thought I'd mention it. And apparently, further down his quest line, he even gives a free level 30 set. Um, so a lot of people like doing his quest. It's going to be really hard to do because this is a new server. People want set pieces, but set pieces aren't necessary. You just have to keep grinding really hard. And you should do quest, but only the thing is, the quests you'll be doing until level 25 are all located right here. So you don't want to actually leave Flaring or Flaris until level 25. The game's not going to tell you that. A lot of players are going to leave Flaring and go to Saint Morning because that's where they can still level up. This is a very bad decision. I'm going to tell you in a second why, but for the most part, um, yeah, it's a very bad decision. So next you have the drill masters for the assist, and these are where you get your quest for the job rank at, and they're gonna give you the time limit quest. But this one's a mercenary drill master, and the way he works is that um, when you become mercenary, you mostly have to use strength. Sadly, some of the mercenaries things, just like the yo-yo, I think they work off of MP instead of FP. Actually, it's supposed to be FP. So if you go with Acrobat, you're gonna have an infinite FP item that you get handed to you for free. And it's only gonna last 1 hour. When you get this item, there's gonna be problems because your main skill that does damage from the beginning primarily uses MP if you use a bow. If you use the yo-yo, it's not that much damage. So you're pretty much going to be completely dependent on that skill scroll up to level 22. And even then, you're probably going to still have some issues that you're going to run into. Acrobats burn out very quickly because they need more resources than all the other classes. Magicians burn out, but they don't necessarily burn out that quickly as long as they can three-shot enemies. Most magicians cannot three-shot enemies unless they do something where they basically fight monsters that are lower level than them. And even then, there's issues that come up. Like if you don't hurry up and rush the enemies that you could do as efficiently as possible, other players will start catching up to you, and this will you'll be caught by the horde, by the front wave of people trying to farm. If you pass people up, you'll always be in front of everybody because not everybody is farming continuously in the higher levels. So then the other drill master, the bill poster, or the not the bill poster, but the assist. Um, the assist has a skill that scales with intelligence, and it does damage over time. You use it on a single enemy and you run away, and the enemy chases you and it dies, and you basically take 0 damage. This is extremely overpowered and why most players go Ringmaster if they hit level 120 fast. The other thing is they can actually sell their services to other players of lower levels so that way they can basically heal them and things like that and get early money. You might not be able to do this when the server opens, so you'll just have to basically pretend you're being nice to somebody when you're leeching off of them. And you're a higher level and they're doing all the work, but they get to fight harder monsters, so from their point of view, they're getting more points more quickly while you're healing them. And they kind of are. The other one, the bill poster, essentially, bill posters can go one-on-one. You're going to really depend on the skill scroll early, sadly. But whenever bill posters reach certain points, they can do AoE farming where they kill all the enemies around them at the same time, and they'll be able to get a lot of money really quick. And that's really important early on, but they'll also level up really quick. So they might not be able to keep up with their level and their equipment that they have because they need the best equipment to not die from getting killed, attacked by every enemy. So they have to invest in stamina, and they also have to invest in intelligence if they do that. This is a problem because later in the game, you don't get intelligence scaling skills as a build poster. So you're gonna have a problem because you'll have to go ringmaster, or you'll have to restat, which costs real life money, which you don't want to do, or it costs a lot of money if somebody buys it for you and they want you to pay for it to get. You'll have to restat into strength and dexterity with some stamina for hunting giants. You won't be able to hunt giants with the AoE attack. That's just how it is. But we're going to go ahead and do the quest for build poster so I can show you how the flow of the quest goes. It's the same for every character with not with what monsters you have to kill, by the way, but you will need 10 twink stones, which you can only get from killing AI bats um, in one of the quests, but it's better to wait until you have to do the quest because if you don't, then you're going to end up you're not going to get the twink stones as fast. The quest actually raises your rate of that item dropping. But here we have accepted the first quest in our line to become a build poster, or not a build poster, but an assist. We'll probably not go the build poster route, but I'll explain some more later. And so we have to kill 10 Mosh Pangs and 10 Burudinj, and 15 minutes total. We're at 14, but only because we passed the 30-second marker on that minute just walking over here. So time's a big factor in this one, and you might think, well, this ain't no big deal. You just kill enemies. Well, let me tell you, every single one of these enemies, whenever the new server opens, will be replaced with a player. And if you're there to see it, you're not going to be able to kill small mush pangs because new players are killing small mush pangs, as well as other players trying to get job changed as well. It's going to be a heavy competition. I think it helps you if you end up in a party. I think the kill count counts towards your kills too. I'm not sure. Um, I might be wrong. I don't know. You'll have to experiment yourself. So I've already killed 10, but now let's go to the small birdigen. It's Burudinj. Jeez, these names are wacky. Oh, there's a Momochi or Moko Mochi here, so we're gonna kill that real quick. There's a rare chance that it'll give us a special item that's not garbage. Nope, it gave us a garbage item. Okay. Well, that's not too garbage. It's hit rate increase, so hit rate is good for increasing the odds that you'll hit the enemy. So it basically effectively increases your damage per second. Now, because we actually invested into our dexterity and strength 50-50, you might notice if you did anything different that you'll be doing slightly less damage per second. The game actually displays your damage per second next to when you're killing enemies, and a lot of players don't believe that that's how that works. They think bigger numbers means they're doing more damage faster, but then they keep missing and they're not paying attention. So this is the first part of the quest. The second part of the quest ends up being find a certain number of items. You don't want to pop any special items like this one here, the orange cotton candy. You don't want to pop that because if you pop these items, then you're not really gaining experience points and you're not really gaining items at a faster rate. You're not finishing the mission that you're given at a faster rate. It's just not intelligent to do. So we're really close to the town in these early missions, so we don't actually have to worry much about um, we don't have to worry about using the blink wing. But if you're an acrobat, you're going to be killing nothing but the AI bats. You have to kill 40 of them. This isn't very easy to do when the server just opens. So if you manage to do it, then you're a legend. If you can get to level 120 before everybody else, you're a legend. So you see, it took me 5 minutes to do that. And that's because I'm manually walking too, and then I'm not really paying too much as attention as I should. So, the first thing you'll probably notice, um, we've already got all of one of the items we need. The next item we need is called the four forms and the peaky ring. So, four forms are dropped by mushpangs. This is bad. Remember what I said about how everybody's going to be fighting each other over. They're not going to be killing each other because they can't do that until they receive their next job class. I believe they're protected as vagrants. But everyone's going to be killing. See, I immediately got a 4 form. So the game devs are probably going to increase the rates of things for that day alone. Um, and you won't receive 4 forms that quickly, by the way. You're literally not going to receive it that quickly. Um, if you just try to grind them before you do this mission. But you should still remember to keep the 4 forms and the all your quest items that you get. Just keep them until you do your mission. And if you have an opportunity and you see these specific items and you're going to go assist, then I would advise you go that route of keeping the items if it's convenient at the time to get them. If not, then I mean, when this mission comes around, it's faster to do it this way. They'll probably be at this time, if you've already invested over an hour into the game, a lot more players here killing than there was before because now everybody's logging on to the new server. Everybody's fighting each other over ground. And then the next one, the Peaky Wrens, there's an enemy that we never fought. And that's because the enemy is very inefficient to fight. But a lot of players think it's a good idea. It's not. And that's the Peaky Turtles. So the Peaky Turtles are located at the Plain of Bubble. And the Plain of Bubble is basically south of the Doridamas or Doridomas or whatever you want to pronounce. That I never showed, but I did show on the map over here, the Doridomas. And then um, west of these birdogens. So if you do have trouble killing AI bats, well, there's more over here. And a lot of players don't bother going this way because they want to go the fast way of just getting straight to the Demians and fighting them in the puke pukes. There's no extra puke pukes, I don't think, this way. Um, but if there are, I would advise you use the alternative routes where the other enemies are spawning because all around this city here, there's AI bats over here hidden south of the city. You can go here if you're going to be an acrobat and you can kill those instead of killing the ones that everybody's killing. So everybody's going to be spread out. And there's a giant birded dinge. Alright, we're just going to go ahead and buff ourselves in case we forget. And I'm going to show you guys all the footage all the way through. We still have more topics that we can bring up, by the way. So, one of the things is what enemies should you be fighting? Um, I think I'll show you guys that whenever it comes up, though, actually. I should show you all that. So I'm going to go ahead and collect these 5 Peaky Wrens, and I'm going to pause the video for now. And I'll be back in a bit when I get all 5 and turn this quest into the Assist Master Mackie, which is located in the city, but it's not located in the part we were at. It's located in the northwest part of the town, so I'll be back. Okay, guys, we're back again, and I've gotten all the items that I need. So I also used the last blink wing I had that teleports me to the nearest city. And this is the guy that you turn your mission into, and then you get your next mission. Um, in Saint Morning, it'll be a different person, and in Darken, it'll be a different person if you're going Acrobat or Mage. Um, but anyhow, one of the things is we use that last blink wing, and I do want to mention that when you run out of blink wings, if you're in the city, it might take some time to walk to the mage or whatever, but you want to do so that way you don't waste a lot more time later on. It's actually more efficient to just get a blink wing. And so our next mission is to get the Book of Technique. And this one's located near and south of the what they call the bangs, and the bangs are basically just enemies that will actually be farming after this mission because they're the best enemy to farm at level 15. Most players don't farm them at level 15 because most players, um, well, yeah, most players make a bad build or they think that they need to do every single quest to get every single bit of money. Like right now, because we killed the Pfefferns, I could turn in the quest to this lady, the Magic Quill quest, and I would get, I don't know how much, but I'd get some currency and I'd also get some experience. Right now, I wouldn't get any experience because you can't get any more experience at level 15 until you get your next job class. So anyhow, that elevator's going up and we need that elevator. We're not going to walk all the way to the bangs because the bangs are a pretty good distance from us. Yeah, they're a pretty good distance. They're pretty much across the entire map. So what we're just going to do is we're just going to take the aircraft because that's way faster and easier than walking the entire way. And this is the whole purpose of the aircrafts. So, um, let me see if there's anything else I could say. Um, Nothing yet. Okay, well, cheer points. So I'll mention cheer points. Over here, there's this thing called cheer points. It's right here. Has a heart next to it. And basically, if you click somebody, if you click somebody like another player, dang it. All right, there we go. And you use this cheer point, well, if you're close enough, they'll actually get experience points, 5% more experience for you cheering them. 5% might not sound like a lot, but if you have to kill in the long run, near the end of the game, when you have to kill 100 enemies, actually like 1,000 enemies to level up, and that's not even near the end. That's actually, I think that's near the level 80 point. No, 60 to 80. Um, okay, 5% of 1,000. That's 50. All right, so 50 enemies. You save yourself 50 enemies that you'd have to kill. That could take you 15 minutes or so. I don't know. Um, Depending on how strong your character is or what kind of build you have, could take almost nothing actually, maybe. But either way, it still saves you time. And so in the long run, having cheers, like you share cheers with other players. Somebody cheers you, you cheer them back normally, or you use cheer as a currency. Sometimes, if you're trying to get in a party where you want certain players to exchange cheers with you, but you should use it as a like a display that you are being friendly to a player. If you don't, then they might take advantage of the fact that you gave them that cheer. So this is where the Mars mine is located. It's right in that tree stump. We're not going to be going there right now, But we are going to be going down here to find the bang. Well, not the bang, the book, the technique book. And then from the technique book, we gotta go to the high torpets. And the high torpets are actually close by, but not really. Let me go ahead and... I think that's the... No, that's Pena. Yeah, the book of technique is like... Well, let's see. Okay, the book of technique is this way. It's better to click when you move than use the keys, because if you're lagging, it won't update sometimes and you'll have glitches. So the high torpets are located in the mountains near the La Wolf, and between the Doridama and the La Wolf. You'll see what they look like if you were at the Doridama before. There's a pathway up to them. And also right above the pukes that we were fighting. Um, but I'll go ahead and, because I'm near the Mars mine, I'll go into the Mars mine to explain a concept about leveling early all the way up to level 25 here in Flurries before you head to St. Morning, which you should do. Most players aren't going to do it because you don't really get to do as many quests in the same manner, etc. But we come in here, and the Faferns we were fighting earlier are in here. They're just way stronger. They're a different level. Level 21. The only thing is that the enemies in here, even Bangs, have a stronger version of themselves in here. The Bang enemies that you saw outside with the hammers for hands, they have a very high EXP rate per HP. So that means that if you kill them, you get the best experience points for the level. So to explain what level that you should kill them at, let's say you went Mercenary. If you went Mercenary, you're probably going to be depending on skills to do the extra damage you need to kill them quickly. But this is where you use your items when you pop your items whenever you're when you finally level up. Or not level up, but when you finally complete this mission to receive your new job. You pop your items in here to gain more bonus damage, etc. Do this early on before everybody comes here, because this is where the best players will come to farm early on to get an advantage. And we'll just say, alright, you killed the Bangs, and you're level 16, you're still killing Bangs. You're level 17, you're still killing Bangs. You're level 18, you're still killing Bangs. Alright, then suddenly you're level 19. Now, it takes 110 Bangs to level up. Alright, but if you fight the mutant Pfefferns, alright, at level 19, um, it would take 58 or 59 kills compared to 110 kills of the Bangs, which you could still kill the Bangs, but at level 19, if you can do it, if you're a magician, you could do it. If you have the Super Scroll by level 19, you should be able to do it as any class. You just need food, and you should be careful, because if they can hit you, you're going to need a lot of food, but if they can't hit you, you better hope you can kill them fast enough, so you're going to need potions. There is an item you'll get when you end these quests. The item gives you infinite action slot use, because if you use the action slot, it slowly drains, and then you'll only be able to use 4 of the attacks instead of all 5. And then eventually you'll run out and you won't be able to use any. You'll have to basically manually put a skill on a key and use it this way. That's the only way you can use it. Well, you'll have to use one of them, though whichever ones can actually go on a key. So that's the thing. And some of the skills require the action slot and to do damage. So anyhow, you'll see mages down here. They'll pop their infinite MP. the thing that you don't get if you went Acrobat. And when they pop Infinite MP, that's it. The action slot Infinite, they pop it. They just kill these monsters. They'll probably kill them in 4 hits, 3 to 4 hits, and they'll get all the way to level 22. Like in minutes, they'll start leveling. Like it, before the hour's up, they'll be 22. And this is the Mars cave. This is what it's used for. This is really a fast way. So if you're level 22, the best character to kill is in here still. It's the mutant Yang Yang. You can still kill mutant Pfeffern kings because there's a king version of the Pfeffern in here that's not in the outside version. But Yang Yangs are pretty good. And then there's the queen Yang Yang, but you don't really want to do anything with them. And at 55, or I mean 25, the mutant Bang Bang, Boss Bangs or whatever, and the mutant Bangs, you can kill them and you'll level pretty quickly. Like you kill less than 100 of them and you'll level at 25 to 26. And as long as you can do that, you can get over the first hurdle in the game, which is quickly unlocking some of the skills you need, so that way you can actually farm what you need to farm. And there's an enemy that I can't show you here, so I'll have to come outside the cave to show you where they're at, that nobody ever farms. And if you're a magician or an acrobat, you can farm this enemy. And nobody ever farms this one, and that's these flying enemies right down here between Flaris and St. Morning, called the Zenros. And the Zenros are actually really good for farming if you're able to find them in flight, but you'll have to get a broom to fight them. You can't fight them without a broom or a board that can fly. So that requires 50,000. You'll have to get 50,000 probably from Quest. Okay, so anyhow, I'm going to go to the high dwarf bets now. See you in a second. Alright, so this is the high dwarf bet. Um, Over here's the wolves, as you can see, one's attacking me. Down there is the Doridoma or whatever. And then this way over here is the Pukes. So just finish the quest. And then it wants us to kill Channer. So Channer's the one that was located, the one that I showed you guys that are located next to the Demians. And so, as you can guess, the players who don't even... There's players that will troll, and whenever Channer is basically... people are fighting him to get their next class, there'll be a player, at least one, all the time, that kills Channer on purpose so that way they can deny other players the ability to get to the next level and pick their next class. This is a feature that was taken out of one of the game versions, because this is an older version of the game that they basically we'll just say remastered, why not? But they didn't really remaster it. But so because of this one thing I just mentioned, so that players yeah, aren't too nice. So I'm just use my skills very quickly, dispose of this guy, and because of my build, I'm doing more damage than most players are going to be doing per second. Alright, Channer's dead. So what do we do now? Okay, now that we killed the enemy for our class that we're going to, after the high dwarf bed, we just teleport back to town because we don't need to walk. That wastes a lot of time. Eventually, you'll probably be walking long distances because it's, you don't always have a aircraft to take you everywhere. Well, there is places. Actually, the aircrafts go throughout most of the game, so it's not entirely true. But we're going to go ahead and finish this quest. So I can show you the items you get when you finish the quest. We've got bonuses on everything except monsters above Pfefferns. So and there you go. So now our stats have been reset. Our item bar has unlocked more item slots. There might be a new slot per level up to a certain point. There's also a bag that unlocks a lot more slots. And we have to decide what we're going to do with our build. But before that, let's go ahead and just turn that in, and you get 35 immediate points. And so now I get to talk about the other subjects I wanted to bring up. Investing in your skills. So this skill right here, the Moonbeam. The Moonbeam basically it's kind of a attack that does damage over time. You attack an enemy and it'll still damage them. So that means if you invest in the Moonbeam, and it scales with intelligence, but it scales by 0.1. You use the Moonbeam once, not 50 times. And after you use it, you run away. And then whenever it's gone, you use it again and run away again. It's a hit and run attack. So if you want to go Ringmaster, the very first thing you're probably going to want to do is maximize healing and then maximize Moonbeam, which you have the points to do. You can actually do that. However, I do want to mention, so healing is your gateway to all the skills in the future of an assist class. And if you're an elemental, if you're an acrobat, if you're a mercenary, no matter what, some of these skills in the end you really want. So right here there's prevention. Prevention, target recovers HP when it reaches below a certain point. 10% recovery, and that's just to prevent them from dying, I guess. It's like a little just in case, and it lasts for like 2 minutes and 30 seconds for people who lag or whatever. I guess that's what they added that for. But here you see the assist can actually raise stats like dexterity, strength, stamina, and intelligence. So all of their stats can be raised by themselves. They can actually raise their own stats and buff themselves. Or they can buff other players, and they can heal other players. So as you can guess, this class here is very overpowered for leveling early, because even if you aren't a magician or you're not a acrobat, people need you. So they're gonna need you to heal them. They're gonna need you to buff them. They're the very first thing you get is mental sign after you get healing. Mental sign, you can, if you don't use Moonbeam, which you should use if you don't have friends, I guess, you can use mental sign, and as long as you're healing the magician, they don't have to worry about eating food. Eating food costs a lot. Alright, so this right here, the star candy, it heals you 1200 points of health. You'll probably be eating this at at some point, and when you do, you might notice that there's no more food after that. You might go to darken, and guess what? There's still no more food after that. So, yeah, that's a bit of an issue. This right here, these are the infinite, this is the infinite MP and the infinite skill chain. You don't actually have to use these as build poster, or not build poster, but assist when you first unlock assist. Why is that? Because the skills you end up using um, essentially don't have to be spammed like all the other classes. So here is a reskill scroll. So I can afford to invest into Moonbeam if I want it. The only thing is Moonbeam raises with intelligence, but it like let's look at Moonbeam for a second, okay? So the attack scaling is actually 2.8. The base time is 10. The DOT tick is 0.5. That means you do 20 hits on an enemy in 10 seconds with the base damage of 35, and your intelligence damage is the same as the highest level attack than an elemental will get. That's crazy, okay? So this is overpowered. All right, now let's talk about what you should invest in, right? So you look at everything, you get an idea of what it all does. What's the scaling? This one's times 2. Okay, what does it do? This one's circle healing. It heals most of the people in a party close to you. It's got a 5 times healing skill, but you know what's its cooldown or what do you need to raise it? And all of this stuff actually, you consider it and you think, okay, well, let's look at the skill before it. Here's Resurrection. All right, Resurrection brings players back, but they still lose their EXP when they get resurrected, unless your level's higher when you resurrect them. But they get to come back right at the spot that they died at. So this skill isn't actually worth maxing out. You shouldn't bother with it. However, you might want circle healing because later in the game, you're going to need to heal a lot of people around you. So you go resurrection, but you only put 4 levels in patience because you only need 4 in patience. Maybe you put 3 in healing. And healing, you see, you got 5.5 intelligence skill with the base heal of 20. Alright, so basically, if your intelligence is, if I put all 28 of my points in intelligence, I'll have 43 intelligence. If you times that by 5, that's basically almost 500. That's more heal in one healing, and it only costs 17 MP. That's more healing than the food's going to give anybody at this level. It's going to be very overpowered. So I don't really have to put a bunch of points in this. If I put 3 levels in it, the base healing goes up to 240, while the scaling is 5.6. But what if I put 20 points in it? So now the base is 650, while it scales 5.9. Now, if I'm putting everything in intelligence, the base healing's not too much of a big deal, right? Because by then, we're timesing it 5.5, almost 6 times whenever it's maxed. And if I'm like level 30, 45, we'll say 45 because that's the highest skills here unlock at 45, okay? So 45, that's 88 skill points or stat points. 15 goes into intelligence by default. We stack 88 on top of it, and we're at 103. All right, so 103 times 6 is basically 615. And 615 plus 200. Well, it won't be 615 because if it's just the lowest level. Instead, you know, we've got would have 815 at the highest level plus 600. That's almost like that's a 15,000 almost, or I mean 1,500, not 15,000. The 1,500 per hill. Enemies deal that kind of damage. All right. Later on, so you look at the party here. The healing scales times 5. Okay. Now we can't really show what that would look like with max. The base is still 200, so we can assume that it'll end up being 650 at the max. We would say, and then the intelligence would probably be 5.5 because that's just kind of how the devs are. So in the end, it's if I just do this, just that alone, just one, um, that's pretty much all I really need. But I want to unlock everything else. 3, 3, 3, 3. So I need it to be at 3. All right. So when you're a magician, when you're an acrobat, when you're a mercenary, this is how you're going to prioritize what skills you're going to unlock. Um, Moonbeam is extremely good. It's extremely overpowered. It's ridiculous. The only thing is you need to invest everything into intelligence. But why don't we want to just do that when we start a new game? Why is that a stupid idea? Is it a stupid idea? Well, almost. You have to depend on other players to some degree if you go Ringmaster. But if you go Bill Poster, then what happens is you get to do another tactic, which still requires intelligence, by the way. Let me see if I can find it. No, here it is. This attack right here. All right. It scales with strength and intelligence. It's called Burst Crack. And it lets you use your fist. You have to use the fist weapon, so you can't be using a staff. So some skills for some classes have to use particular weapons. Most classes, all of them have two different weapons. The Acrobat has the yo-yo and the bow. The Mercenaries have the sword and the axe, but it becomes a two-handed sword and axe later, or a double-wielded sword and axe later. The blade's considered inferior to the knight. The knight, those are the second classes of the mercenary route. The mercenary's pretty good, but mostly tanky and um, underwhelming at this moment. The ranger is considered the most overwhelming one. The magician gets a two-handed staff or a regular staff that allows them to use a shield as well, but it reduces their hit rate, which, I mean, shouldn't really matter too much because your spells don't really, the hit rating doesn't change based off of your hit rating. So, but one of them is particular to the elemental, and the other one is the psi class or the psychic the psychic magician, which uses psychic powers or whatever instead of elemental. Elemental gets a bonus to elemental damage towards enemies, so they're better for PvE, while the psychic's better for PvP. The only thing is that even though the psychic uses skills specific for PvP, players don't know how to use them, so they end up just yoing elemental and going full damage. PvP is not meant to be fair, but players keep it fair for whatever reason, and this is what causes most of the problems. So, anyhow, the uh, the assistant gets a staff as well, but it's not the same as the magician's. And now we don't really use the shield anymore unless we use the fist. But the weapon here is the knuckles. Knuckles are basically big metal things you put on your hand to punch things with. Basically battering rams for your hands. And then they could be used with a shield. The other one is the stick. And the stick does do more damage if its attack is greater. And its hit rate really doesn't dictate much, like the hit rate of the two-handed staff that the magician can use. Um, but because it's two-handed, you can't really use a shield with it. So the psychic magician can use a shield. The elemental can't, but they can still use a shield if they want, because later in the game they can purposely use lower level weapons, because the maximum level in this game is 120. The reason why it was higher in the other games is because people were doing this with items, and they had builds where they could still kill players and mix and match things to some degree in game, which, I mean, I'm not going to judge much, but anyhow, in the armor here, armor has, you have assist armor, which we'll be getting level 15 through 18. This one's level 24 through 27. We don't really have to worry about getting more armor until level 24. I wouldn't worry really until level 25, but that's just because if you built poorly and you need to depend so heavily on armor at some point, it's going to be a problem. So here you have upgrades. You're not going to be using this when the new server opens, and if you do, you see there's these giant monsters that roam this game, and in every continent it's different as to what monster that is. But basically, to upgrade, you need those specific items from those monsters, and then you need a dicer card, which is a rare drop that lets you upgrade the items differently to customize your weapon. But if you fail, you lose your item as well. So, and then this jewel here lets you create ultimate weapons, and ultimate weapons, um, like emeralds, are for high level weapons, and people normally get an ultimate weapon around level 60, and they'll use it for a long time because it takes a long time to train at the level 60 to get to level 70. But I've been to level 80, and I can say that's not entirely true. You can level up quick without worrying about much. But if you go the area of effect route, you'll end up needing a lot of stamina, and you'll need some kind of healer to heal you because food isn't as easy later on to come by in this game. So safe upgrade lets you upgrade things more safely, but you need scrolls. Like it's mandatory, whatever. And it has more features: safe elemental, safe accessory. Remove elemental. I don't know anything about this, but it costs 1,000,000 pinya. So anyway, as you can see, this is what everything is. You won't be using this stuff whenever you start a new game. You'll probably be using the ultimate weapon one, but you'll probably, if you want to use that, you have to farm giants. And to farm giants, you'll have to get at least 40 stamina before you even decide you want to do that. And you'll have to have a healer with you. Um, and then you'll have to remember that at level 30, you can't use the buff pang anymore. So, um, let's see what else we haven't gone over yet. I've gone over cheer points. Um, Another thing, I mentioned the AoE attack. This AoE attack, the way you use it, you hit an enemy once, go to the next enemy, hit them once, and you get a bunch of enemies to follow you, but you don't run too far from them. Then when you gather them all in one spot, you burst crack them all down. They're cracking your health down while you do that, so you have to constantly heal, using food or something continuously while you keep hitting them. So if you want to share experience with somebody, this would be the best time to use a healer. The other one, of course, Stone Hand. Um, Never mind. I don't know why I haven't even mentioned that. But yeah. So anyway, enough about that. I think that's almost it. Um, about now, I would head to the bangs. All right, if I was going to start farming. No, we don't want to go to magical. I would head over here and I would kill bangs for a few levels, and then after level 18, I would head inside the Mars mine and start killing the Pfefferns. If you go straight to Saint Morning, you're not going to get as much experience, you're going to level slower, and basically it's going to be a big problem. Because everybody's going to be fighting for those monsters, remember that, and nobody's really going to be in the Mars mine, so you're going to have a huge advantage over everybody if you do it that way. So, but sometimes monsters are too much stronger than you. This is the last thing I'm going to say before something else, and then that'll be it. I'm almost done with this video now, finally, for real, and but basically, let's say you're level 25. The best enemy you could fight is the mutant boss bang, and it's inside the Mars dungeon. There's another enemy up ahead called the Zendros. It's a flying enemy. It can still damage and hurt you really good. So can the mutant boss bang. So if you don't have a means of healing, or if you can't kill them fast enough, because a better offense is a good defense early on. Later in the game, that's still kind of true, but with some catches added to it because the enemies start hitting a lot harder. Essentially, you do want to kill them fast so you can keep moving and kill them, move, kill, move. But you want to scale back a little bit. So if you want to scale back, this is where the issue comes in. Essentially, right before the boss bang is the mutant Yang Yang Queen. and the mutant Yang Yang. So, well, you can still kill them, but you're not going to get that much experience points as you did before, but you'll still get experience. But if you're too weak, if you're not doing enough damage to kill them fast enough and they're hurting you, the reason you would scale back is because remember your stamina. So if we raise our stamina right now, our HP goes up 4 points, 4 points, 4 points, 4 points, 4 points, 4 points, 4 points. And that's because of our class we went. And if we put everything in, you see our HP. So we have all of our points in stamina. It would put us to 48 stamina. And we only raised our health by 100 almost. That's only one more hit from an enemy. But then we level up. And if we level up, suddenly all of the stamina we put in, all the stat points we put in, turn into health points. And we get an extra health point for each of the stamina we already invested. So that means that also the same works for defense. You gain defense as you do this. So when you level up, suddenly your defense goes up even more. Your strength or your attack damage goes up more. Not just from you putting points in, but because you put points in and leveled, it goes up. So this means that sometimes you might have to fight enemies below you. And if you do, you should target the ones that still have a good EXP to health ratio. And there's not a lot of resources on which enemies that might be out there on the internet, so you have to remember which one had a good one. Um, and hopefully this will get you up to speed with everybody else. Um, there won't be any items for sale, etc. early on. And if there is, nobody will have money to buy it. And if you want money to buy it, you'll have to do the um, 40 stamina trick where you get your stamina up to 40, hope somebody heals you fast enough so that you don't die, and then begin burst cracking enemies. If you do it that way, you might have to scale back. If you scale back, it's not a big deal, as long as you're not doing that here at in Flaris. If you start doing it in Flaris, you might have some issues further down the road. But the idea of this guide is to get you going without having to use any pay-to-win items or anything like that. So the last thing I'll say is that I'll probably put timestamps in the description when I have time, but I'll have to look at this entire video, remember that, as I put timestamps on it. And I just want to upload it so that way people can see a very, very long video and get an idea of how of my knowledge of the game before it expands into its new version. And I'm sure people will criticize me or whatever, but whatever. Um, so thank you for watching the video, and this has been Daniel Bloom, and have a good day.